Well, welcome back, friends, on this July 11th, 2025, the Feast of St. Benedict. I'm Jim,
And this is Cheryl.
and happy to have you here for the second big hour of Friday Live. Hope you are enjoying, well, I guess it's still pretty nice, huh?
It's lovely. It's a lovely day because look what we have to compare it to these last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Gorgeous out there.
St. Benedict fights off the enemy, fights off the devil. I have that St. Benedict cross on my nightstand.
I remember I had a necklace and I didn't realize, it was a St. Benedict. I liked it. I liked the look. It was like a black background with the gold and the crucifix. And I was speaking with a sister and she goes, "Oh, I noticed you have a St. Benedict cross." She goes, "They are very powerful." And then I looked him up and then I did all their reading. And I wonder if I still have it. I have a feeling I lost it.
Got to keep it.
I will look when I go home.
All right. So, we'll go to our gospel reading and reflection today is by Father Gary Koch later on this hour. John, I think his name is pronounced Sechuk. We'll find out. He is the head of a wonderful organization over in the Bucks County area, but they do great outreach even over here into New Jersey, Generation Life. We've known of this organization probably for 25 years.
Right.
They've been around, I think, a couple of decades now.
Right.
I think Kim Savage was her name. Kim Savage was the head of it. We'll find out. John will know. He'll tell us all about Generation Life and the great work they do with young people.
Great.
But we will first go to our gospel reading for this, the 15th Sunday in Ordinary Time, followed by a beautiful reflection by Father Gary Koch.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. There was a scholar of the law who stood up to test Jesus and said, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus said to him, "What is written in the law? How do you read it?" He said in reply, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your being, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." He replied to him, "You have answered correctly. Do this and you will live." But because he wished to justify himself, he said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus replied, "A man fell victim to robbers as he went down from Jerusalem to Jericho. They stripped and beat him and went off, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down that road, but when he saw him, he passed by on the opposite side. Likewise, a Levite came to the place, and when he saw him, he passed by on the opposite side. But a Samaritan traveler who came upon him and was moved with compassion at the sight, he approached the victim, poured oil and wine over his wounds, and bandaged them. Then he lifted him up on his own animal, took him to an inn, and cared for him. The next day he took out 2 silver coins and gave them to the innkeeper with the instruction, 'Take care of him. If you spend more than what I have given you, I shall repay you on my way back.' Which of these 3, in your opinion, was neighbor to the robber's victim?" He answered, "The one who treated him with mercy." Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
This Sunday we are challenged anew with one of the most well-known of the parables of Jesus, that of the Good Samaritan. Having been questioned by an expert in the law as to the meaning of neighbor in regards to observance of the law, Jesus responds with a parable. In the parable, Jesus paints a rather vivid picture. His listeners all knew well the road from Jerusalem to Jericho, following the Wadi Kelt. It was a narrow, winding path through a canyon with a steep incline. Jerusalem and Jericho, 17 miles apart, yet there is a 3,500-foot change in elevation. Narrow and rugged, this road was a place where travelers were often robbed by bandits. Yet it was the only path, and the travelers from the north usually came through the wilderness to Jericho on their way to Jerusalem. It was well traveled. Jesus himself walked this road on many occasions, so it is the perfect setting for this parable. It is easy to imagine this road where an unsuspecting man traveling alone was come upon by robbers and beaten to a bloody mess, left for dead and abandoned. Jesus placed 2 important religious figures in the parable, a priest and a Levite, each on their way to Jerusalem to serve at the temple. Afraid of violating ritual purity, they both walked past, ignoring the cries of the man in the ditch. The audience, hearing this parable, knew that they did the right thing, as their service at the temple excused them from doing anything further. Jesus then introduced the hero of the parable, a Samaritan. This is a foreigner, not welcome in Jerusalem. The Samaritan risked his very life in order to tend to this man and his wounds. Placing the man on his pack animal, he carried him down the road and took him to a hostel, a primitive form of a hospital, and paid for his care. Now the young lawyer was shaken. Jesus placed them in an awkward and comfortable situation of having to admit that a Samaritan was the true neighbor rather than either the priest or the Levite. While some people tend to forget that this is a parable and speak of it as though it were an actual event, which to some extent it could also be, yet others dismiss it as they will do with much of the teaching of Jesus. Still, there is a third way to look at this parable. The parable places us outside of the walls of Jerusalem, witnessing a man being beaten, stripped, and badly bruised, a scene which ought to immediately draw us to think of the very passion of Jesus Christ, recounted later on in the Gospel. At the direction of those who were experts in the law, Jesus was stripped, beaten, and left half dead before they took him outside of the city to be crucified. In the parable, it is only due to the compassion of a total outsider, a Samaritan, that this battered man was saved from dying. Along the way of the cross, it was an outsider, Simon of Cyrene, who was pressed into service to carry the cross with Jesus on the path to his crucifixion. The lesson that we are to learn from this parable is that everyone is our neighbor. We are challenged to break down the barriers that divide us and recognize the fundamental dignity of each individual person. In a very subtle way, the parable also challenges us to see in every other person the person of Jesus Christ. St. Luke records this parable in such a way as to make it somewhat apparent that the victim is Jesus. As the other officials of Judaism made their way past the victim, they chose not to be concerned with the man, but rather with their legal purity, and went on their way. It was better for an anonymous man to die than for them to sully themselves with his blood. The scholars of the law treated Jesus in the same way, and with the same sentiment. Better for one man to die, we hear, than to upset the balance of power with the Romans. St. Francis of Assisi, it is reported, had a conversion experience as he encountered a leper along a road. First, he shunned the man, treating him like everyone else would. Then, moved with compassion, he walked over and kissed the leper, subsequently recognizing that the leper was Jesus. We are reminded that in the course of our everyday lives, we encounter Jesus in many and varied ways. Like St. Francis, we likely encounter Jesus in those places and people we least expect, and in many cases would prefer not to. It is all too easy to turn up our noses and walk past, ignoring the stench of the dying, the destitute, the homeless, the immigrant, the mentally ill, or the provocation of those whose values and attitudes towards life are adverse to our own, and those who disdain and outright reject us. We are called to be men and women of mercy and compassion, and even perhaps especially when we are seen as the Samaritan, the outcast. It is there, in the depth of our humanity, that we can come to the most profound recognition of Jesus in our lives, the victim who stands without equal.
All righty, welcome back, friends. And in a little bit, we're going to be joined by Jon Sechuk from Generation Life to tell us all about that wonderful organization over there. We mentioned today is the feast day of Saint Benedict. Now, if you are on our email list, we have
Oh, yes. Tell me this again.
all you have to do is get on our email list. You can go to our website and say, I want to be on your email list. And every day, Monday through Friday, we send out program highlights. Actually, the entire day's schedule up until 6 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
Goes out about 6:15 in the morning, so you have the whole day. And all of those programs that let us know what their guests or who their topics will be, we put that on there. And also, we start off with the saint of the day. So today, of course, is Saint Benedict. And let's see, where did I get I don't have it in front of me now. I was going to read.
And also the daily readings.
And the daily readings, which you can click on. It takes you right to the USCCB website with the actual readings of the day.
One-stop shopping, my friends.
And so it tells you all you do is go to our website, domesticchurchmedia.org, And somewhere on there it says join our mailing list, email list,
Hmm.
and we send them out. That's all. You don't get bombarded with anything else. That's just every day,
Just a
Monday
daily
through Friday,
update.
daily update on what the programs will be and what the
Hmm.
topics are, who the guests will be. And I think it's a great way to keep connected and stay connected to us here, and also share with you all of the information about the programs that are coming up, so you know what to listen for.
And so, happy feast day to all the Benedicts out there. Do you know anyone named Benedict?
The former pope, not former pope,
Yeah,
past
but like
past
personally,
pope.
I don't hear that name.
Benny. No any
Ben,
Bennies out there.
Ben or Benny. That's true.
We know a Ben.
Ben, and then I wonder, was his full name? And chances are, Catholic family, they probably named him Benedict. But feast days, it was all the way back in 1570. The good Pope Pius V started establishing these saint feasts right after the Council of Trent. And that first few years, they put on the calendar 158 feast days. And then it grew. Eventually, in some years, it grew to 230 feasts. So you'd go to daily mass, and they'd always be celebrating somebody's feast day. But it got to the point, I think it was 1950 maybe, there were 262 feast days. And you think there's only 365 days in the calendar year. And it started to override those special liturgical days that would determine maybe the first day of Advent or the first day, like things that we really needed to be focusing on. It left very few days in the year to just look at the basic significant events, salvation history. So it was Second Vatican Council that did that reform, 1969, and they cut it back. And the Universal Church now only observes and celebrates the feasts that remember saints who have a significant meaning for the entire church. So on the local level, if your parish is, well, today I think Saint Benedict is one of those prominent feasts. But if your parish is dedicated to a certain saint, they'll certainly highlight that feast day, that saint, maybe build a parish mission around it or some sort of mass or celebration. But unless it affects and really has an influence on the entire church body universally, you won't see it on the calendar.
Well, that was the big misinterpretation where Saint Christopher was taken off the
Right.
the liturgical calendar. But many people said that the Second Vatican Council, he's no longer a saint. But you can't do that.
No, they didn't undo.
They just took him off the liturgical calendar.
So maybe it's celebrated in certain regions or dioceses. They'll highlight these. If you look on the daily ordo, there are many saint options. You can say the daily mass, and there's optional readings for particular saints. But they don't want to ignore the other events that happen in the church.
No,
So they minimized
no,
it
no.
to a degree.
And there are some solemnities like St. Peter and Paul that if it falls on a Sunday, that's the solemnity
That
of the
will
day.
take right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So,
But no, they didn't, take away Saint Christopher.
no, he's still a saint. He's
Yeah.
just not on the liturgical calendar. Let's see. We have here. This didn't get a lot of news, but I think this is very interesting. If I can pull it up real quick on my phone here. Elon Musk has this something called Neuralink chip, and they put it in the brain of paralyzed individuals. And most recently, this is the 5th patient they've done this to, implanted a Neuralink chip, and they don't give the gentleman's name. He's a military veteran who suffered a spinal cord injury after a motorcycle accident and lost the use of his arms and legs. But they put this chip in the brain, and since his surgery in April, and it's about the size of a coin, he can control his smartphone and computer with his mind. Without,
It didn't re-enable the use of his arms and
no,
legs.
it didn't. No,
Okay,
it
I was
didn't.
waiting for that.
No, it didn't do that. But he's able now to turn on the TV just with his
By
mind.
thinking. Whoa.
And-
Sounds like a little bit. What is that they had in Star Wars? The Force.
Yeah, well, it's in its early stages, and they're saying that they believe that this technology will enable the blind to eventually see,
Maybe the deaf to hear.
deaf to hear, and so it is. And again, it's not science fiction. It's real, but you think, is that messing around too much? But I think it's a good thing. Obviously,
Sure.
he
As
can't use
long
his
as
arms
it's
and legs as he used to, but he could still. He said he's grateful he could, without having to get somebody to help him, just turn the TV on with his mind. Really, and it's real. It's real stuff.
and communicate.
But it didn't get
maybe.
a lot of press. I'm surprised.
Hmm.
It's a robotically implanted brain-computer interface. I don't know how they do that.
As long as it's used for the good.
Yeah.
That's the only scare.
Yeah. Well, it's like the AI. The AI, the artificial intelligence, where they're saying how that could be very, very harmful because it'll start to make people not use their minds.
Mm-hmm.
They're not thinking about writing and composing. Or,
Creativity.
yeah, that they're not, and that's a God-given gift, obviously, and to just depend on a machine to do all that for you.
You become the robot.
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of
Fascinating.
you wonder where it's all going to go. We won't be around for them,
No.
but
No.
you
But our
wonder.
grandchildren, they will see and know things that we never dreamt possible.
No. And also in 1984, President Ronald Reagan declared the month of July as National Ice Cream Month
Is that right?
and National Ice Cream Day. Not this Sunday, next Sunday, the 20th, and it includes gelato. I looked it up.
Oh, okay. I would expect so.
They call it includes gelato. So if you want gelato,
And all
instead of
those
ice cream.
related icy treats.
So it is National Ice Cream Month, and
Well,
Sunday, July 20th, will be National Ice Cream Day.
we had better observe that. I mean, he was a good man, and
Yeah.
got to support the local business.
Yeah.
Count me in.
And gelato is better than ice cream.
And those places are growing. They're getting.
It's got to be
much
real
more-
gelato, though.
Oh yeah, but you can check that.
You can
out.
get. I saw it on Amazon that you can get. It's actually a dual machine.
You
can
can
either
make-
make ice cream or gelato.
Well, I guess it's just a recipe.
It's the ingredients. Yeah.
We used to have an ice cream maker.
That was primitive. They used to actually churn it,
Right.
right? We used
You
to
would
turn it in the
You'd put the inner unit in the freezer.
freezer.
And then you'd put it in this encasement. It was just, I don't know, like the size of a toaster, no bigger than a bread box. And then whatever other ingredients. But then with the kids, like they had fun. Everybody was turning it. And then it made like a pint.
Little
It's
bit.
like,
yeah.
okay, we're too tired to make enough for everyone.
Now our son showed me. We were at his house a while back, and they're making their own bread now. He said he and
Yes.
his wife and the children, because they read the ingredients on what's in bread, that commercially sold bread. So he said we decided to make our own bread, and he got this machine. He said it was a Japanese bread making machine, and you just throw the ingredients in the machine. You don't do any mixing yourself. Just throw everything in there. And then, lo and behold, the machine does everything else, and then a loaf of bread comes out.
Sounds like easy bake oven.
Freshly baked loaf of bread, and
There too, it's Jetsons.
you
I'm
put all
telling
the
you.
ingredients in. It's just like there's no. I guess you have to measure what you put in there, but you don't have to mix it or
Remember that
Knead it or
kneading
anything, yeah.
on the counter, the flour everywhere and making a mess up to the elbows and flour and dough and over and over and over. Your hands would hurt.
Well, no, I don't remember doing that myself. You made bread?
What? A couple of times for the fun of it. Rolls.
I've thought about making bread with my semolina flour from Italy.
Get one of these machines. I tell you, when Joseph brought bread, we were at the relatives a couple times, and that's his thing now. He brings it like wrapped in this beautiful cloth.
He's a bread maker.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Melt in your mouth.
Yeah,
That
but it comes
outer
from that
crust.
Japanese bread making machine.
Amazing. And when you think Japanese, I don't think bread.
No.
I think of many other types of cultural Asian food.
Yeah.
But I don't think of them as bread like you would in Italy or Germany.
But I've seen online, I always look and see, and I copy them down, like 3-ingredient bread, and it looks delicious. It looks, with the yeast, the flour, and
Well, that's
the warm
why,
water
because
and-
you look at just go to your grocery bread aisle next time you're there and pick up. Just remember, we ate Wonder Bread,
yeah,
Wonder
yeah, Wonder
white
bread.
bread.
Yeah.
and all the ingredients on there with 15 to 18 letters each, and you can't even pronounce them. Like, what are these things?
Yep. All right. Well, speaking of bread, no, I can't tie that in. We're
No.
going to take a break.
I'm the bread of life, but I
We'll
don't have
break
that.
some bread here. Take a break and come back with the Jon Sechuk from Generation Life. So stay where you are, friends. There's more to come here on Friday Live. Don't go away.
Holy God, we praise thy name. Lord
Well, welcome back, friends. Happy to have you on this lovely July 11th. Generation Life is a dynamic movement of young people committed to building a culture of life by educating other young people on the pro life and chastity messages. We believe, or they believe, that, and we also do agree with them, that by spreading the message of chastity, we can end abortion at its root cause. And we want to welcome to the program from Generation Life, Jon Sechuk. Hey, John, how are you?
Doing well, doing well. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well, John. Now,
Great.
tell us. I'm sorry I didn't write down your formal position with the organization. You are now in what position there?
So at Generation Life, I am currently the director of development. So I do help out with the fundraising, as in addition to also speaking to the students in middle schools and high schools and colleges.
Okay. Now, Cheryl and I were saying that my goodness, it's got to be 25 years when we first became aware of Generation Life. You've been around a long time.
Yes, yes. So Generation Life has been around for about 25 years. I think Generation Life celebrated their 25th year of being around about, I think, last year. So yeah, it's been really amazing to see how long that they've been doing it.
Yeah, I think her name was Kim Savage that we knew.
Yes. Kim Savage was the first executive director of Generation Life, and
what
she's still on the board and helps us out.
Good,
great.
good.
Wonderful. It's great to have a mentor. John, for those people that say, wait a minute, I don't know about Generation Life. Or, we hear the phrase, or somebody goes off to college and she says, yes, I'm going to be helping with Generation Life. Can you give us a brief explanation? Like what do these, your people do or those young people do for the organization?
Yeah, of course. That's a very good question. So basically with Generation Life, our main goal is to spread the pro-life and chastity messages, just to help educate people about the realities of, abortion in our country and how horrible it is, but then also how we could prevent that by talking about chastity and especially saving sex for marriage. And that's basically our main mission, is to help students know about what sexuality is for, how God has made us, and how we're supposed to be living that out, and how that will lead to good relationships, good friendships, and also happy and healthy marriages.
Now, I know you're located in Pennsylvania, but you do have outreach over here into New Jersey as well, right?
Yes. We do a little bit of outreach over in New Jersey. We do some talks over in the New Jersey area, which is really nice. We also go up to New York each year and do a talk tour for about a week or two in New York City, and then one in Syracuse, New York. So yeah.
I believe you also have the boardwalk, the beach outreach, right?
Yes. We also have the beach outreach, which we just did about, what was it? We did it in the first week of June. And it was fantastic. We had 12 volunteers with us, and we talked to just random students. Our goal is to reach those students that just graduated high school. And so we talked to them about chastity, saving sex for marriage, but ultimately about what love is about, and helping them to kind of understand what love is and how God loves them.
What beach did you go to over here?
We went to Ocean City, New Jersey, and Wildwood, New Jersey.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those are the ones we went to, and it was really awesome. The conversations you were able to have, and the people we were able to meet. I mean, it was really very providential. It was very Holy Spirit led.
Wonderful. Well, and what type of reaction and response do you get from the young people? You just approach them cold? You just walk up to them, or you have a little table there? How do you do that?
Yeah. So we walk up to them, we approach them cold. We just go up to them and try and start the conversation. And it's funny enough, we actually had a reporter join us from The Guardian. It's a U.S. publication. Well, it started in the U.K., but it's a U.S. publication. And she's writing a book about dating and relationships and why basically Gen Z is not having sex. She's secular, but she wanted to join us because she wanted to hear about chastity and how people responded to it. And she's really struck by how many people wanted to talk to us and that didn't turn us down. And then also didn't feel awkward about us talking about love, chastity, or saving sex for marriage. But the general response was quite positive, especially for the people who wanted to talk to us. So it was really beautiful to be able to kind of start those conversations about love, and people were it was very positive. And there's even some people who were just like, oh, like this is there was there was even one person who was just really struck by us going out there and doing it, and they were a young person. They were very like, oh yeah, this is like what you guys are talking about is true, and I've been wanting to, this is something I've always wanted to talk about or wanted to have friends that practice this. And I'm
Wow.
so happy that you guys are here doing this. Yeah.
Wow. What confirmation that you're doing the right thing.
Yes. No. Exactly.
That's wonderful. And I imagine you train your volunteers to a degree, like the reactions must be from A to Z, all sorts of
Yeah.
responses.
Exactly. And we also talk about too that hey, sometimes you may not be able to. You're in a conversation. You may not be able to get to talking about chastity or saving sex for marriage because
Mhm.
maybe the person doesn't understand what love is and how it's self-sacrificial, it's giving of self. So you just sit with them in that, and then you talk about it. But if we're able to get to the chastity and the saving sex for marriage part, that's that's even better. But the main goal is really just to encounter those people and really meet them where they're at because that's what Jesus did. He met people where they're at,
Right.
and he just he talked to them. He shared his life with them, and that was our main goal with this.
John,
We're meeting people.
how did you get involved with Generation Life?
Yes, so I got involved with Generation Life in about a year and a half ago. Basically, I worked as a missionary with Focus, the Fellowship of Catholic University Students,
Oh,
for about
yes.
3 years. So I was in Massachusetts. My wife and I, we got married. She's also with Focus, but we moved back to Philadelphia. I had a job as cooking because I really wanted to have like a restaurant. But
Oh,
then after a couple months, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work out. And then I found out about Generation Life through one of my neighbors in my neighborhood who was the executive director there. And next one thing led to another. I started applied and I got interviewed and I signed on to be to work for Generation Life after that.
And
fantastic.
about how many young people, and I assume they're all young people, work for Generation Life in this capacity?
So yeah, right now we only have a staff of 4 people.
Hmm.
One of them is part time, and so yeah, there's 4 of us that work. And then for any events that we have, like at the beach outreach, or we always ask for volunteers for people that have helped out previously. So anywhere from, so we have 4 full-time staff, but then volunteer-wise, we could get anywhere to 10 people.
That's now you mentioned that you do go out to schools, and of course, I assume the schools invite you to come to their location. Is there a particular grade that you work with or work toward as far as age?
Yeah, yeah. So the particular grade that we go towards in middle school is the 7th and 8th grade. Um, Sometimes we'll do, 5th and 6th if the principals are, they really want them to match. But normally we just keep it to 7th and 8th, and
Hmm.
then we'll do all the high school grades
Hmm.
after that.
And my first thought is all the Catholic schools would open their doors and say, yes, please come and come again. Have you ever been or approached a public school?
So Generation Life used to go into public schools, but not anymore. When Generation Life first started, it started from a grant from the Clinton Foundation, actually,
Mhm.
to teach abstinence in public schools, actually.
Mm.
So Generation Life was in public schools. They talked about abstinence. I'm not sure how much of the faith they were able to talk about, but we were able to go into public schools, but unfortunately not anymore.
Okay.
Is
All
that
right.
their choice or yours?
You know, it's a very good question. I would actually have to ask probably one of the board members who
Hmm.
has been on there for a long time what happened and why it doesn't
Right.
happen anymore,
Right.
or if it's on our end or if it's on the public schools end.
The first thing I think of when you say chastity, like you're saying, you're down on the shore, you're looking for those that maybe are high school age or about to start college, but it's really never too late. Some people have had a questionable, dark past, and they want to
Yeah.
just wash that away and start anew. You can be any age to say, you know what? I'm going to control and protect my body and worship this temple of the Holy Spirit.
hmm Exactly, and that's all we're teaching with chastity because we're not coming in there and beating them over the head with you have to do this or that or you're gonna you're a terrible person if you do this. We
Right,
we
right.
go in there telling them that like listen, hey, chastity is really just about keeping those emotional, those romantic emotional desires just under control.
Yes.
That's really what chastity is, and it offers you freedom. And, we also give them a lot of hope about how the church, the Catholic Church offers the forgiveness, the love, and the mercy if you do mess up. And that it is, as you said, it's never too late.
Where, John, in your work, maybe you just in your conversation with these young people, what are the greatest pressures they face toward living an unchaste life? I mean, there must be a lot of peer pressure these days, especially through social media and peers, to live in a certain way or act in a certain way that is accepted, sadly, by the culture.
Yeah, I think one of the ways they feel peer pressure, I think, is certainly social media. When we actually do have a dating talk, and I talk about social media and how it can really affect relationships, and the kids love it. They love this talk. And a lot of them do admit that social media really does affect them because they feel like that they have to attain a certain status or do certain things in order to be cool or to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure a lot of those, a lot of the kids, who are leading those others that are just people gravitate towards them. They're looking to them, and they're maybe not the best example, so they're just trying to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it is the social media that really does affect a lot of the students when it comes to feeling peer pressure to do this stuff.
Yeah, because like when you talk about going to see 7th and 8th graders now, Cheryl and I we're baby boomers. When I was in 7th grade, I just cared what place the Yankees were in. I didn't really care about much, much else. But
It's a different
the pressures today, though, they're reaching younger and younger people every day, it seems.
Yes, exactly. I mean, with social media and kids getting phones at such an early age, studies show that a lot of our teenagers and even middle schoolers they're anxious, they're depressed, and they have all this worry in life when they're such a young kid. They don't have to worry about what kind of job they're going to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if anything, that's really what's weighing on their minds. Just by having their phone there, because it really influences people. It really influences you, even if you don't think it affects you. You're going to compare yourself to other people that you see online, and especially at a young age when you don't know how to use it, it's going to affect you even more.
Now, do you ever speak to parents? And I'm wondering if you do, and if not, any suggestions for parents what they should be looking for with their tweens and their young people and their own children.
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. And I think Generation Life, we're actually developing. I mean, we're trying to. I think eventually we will develop talks that will help talk to parents about how to talk about this stuff with their kids. But I think one of the main ways that parents can really really teach this stuff to their children is, I mean, in my personal opinion, just kind of talking about these things plainly and out in the open, like talking about how pornography is really not good and very detrimental to the kids, or even just trying to help them understand what relationships and what dating is about. And I think maybe one of the best ways parents can do that is just by loving their spouse. I think that's a good example for the kids, those kids to know that, my mom and dad, they love each other in this way. This is the love that I'm meant for.
Yeah, witness sometimes
I think
speaks.
that's one of the best ways.
Yeah, the witnessing speaks louder than words. Just live your life and don't be afraid to show that equal respect for each other.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, the website, listeners, is generationlife.org, generationlife.org. And if our listeners go there, John, they can communicate with you on various topics. But I suppose if they want to invite you to their school or other information, they can go there for that, right?
Yes, exactly. On our website, we have a button that you can request to book a talk or find out if you have any other questions. The emails that get sent right to us, and we'd be able to, cater to whatever you would want, and also be able to come and visit your school if you're interested.
As director of development, and you're obviously Generation Life is a nonprofit organization. People can also help you out there as well if they desire, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, there's also a donation page on there too.
Is that how you operate through, like we do, just through benefactor and listener support or support?
Yes. So yes, we ask benefactors for support to support our organization, and then also when we do go to schools, we do charge a small fee just for us going out there and speaking to the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very reasonable, and if people, we need to work with them, they can't pay the full thing. That's totally fine. We can always work with people, because usually we have benefactors who'd be willing to sponsor us to go to that school.
Sponsor an event.
So never feel like it's a bad thing.
Wonderful.
Yeah, wonderful.
Okay, again, the website, friends, is generationlife.org. We've been talking with Jon Sechuk, who is a director of development there and also a speaker. And we just, again, thank you, John, and all the good people there for all the good work you do. If you see Kim Savage, tell her Jim and Cheryl said hello. We loved working with her many years ago. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks for being with us today.
Yes, thank you guys so much, and look forward to chatting soon.
Okay, God bless you,
We will.
John.
God
Thank
bless
you.
your great work.
All right, friends, you stay where you are. We'll be back with more. Don't go away.
Scheid, Kitty Cleveland, Dr. Donald Wallenfang, Patricia Sandoval, and Living Praise Worship Team for the Women of Grace Retreat, Hope for the Journey at the Malvern Retreat House, July 25th through 27th. Dynamic presentations and witnesses will unveil the graces available to you through the virtue of hope. Discover the true meaning of hope and how you can apply HOPE in your life. In addition, there will be daily mass and prayer, a healing service, accommodations, meals, and fellowship with sisters in Christ. For more information and to register, go to womenofgrace.com. Register your daughter for the Young Women of Grace Retreat Day on Saturday, July 26th. Be virtuous, be hopeful, be happy. A fun day for teen girls. Come early for the Benedicta Enrichment Seminar, Consecrating Conflict, Finding Hope in the Struggle. Join us and discover why hope is the anchor of your soul. Register for all this at womenofgrace.com.
For the Jews of old, the temple was the holiest place in the universe, and the spiritual center of the temple was the Holy of Holies. It was blocked off by a thick curtain, and only the high priest could enter to offer sacrifice to God. He had to have a rope tied around his ankle in case he died in there, so he could be dragged out because no one else was ever allowed in. I lead a pilgrimage to the Holy Land every year, and to this day, you can see Jewish people from around the world come to the Wailing Wall, the closest place to where the Holy of Holies was, just to touch that wall. When Jesus died, the curtain separating the Holy of Holies was torn in two, not from bottom to top, which man could have done, but in an act of God from top to bottom. Why? Because in the new covenant, God's dwelling place is you. You are the holiest place in the universe. Do you live like it? This is Chris Stefanik from RealLifeCatholic.com on EWTN Radio.
My family left the church because of a very negative experience with a specific priest, and that took my whole family away from going to church for a long period of time. There were other Catholic churches, and there were great Catholic churches and great priests, but we stopped because of that one specific instance. And in a way, I was cheated out a big part of my journey in my life because we weren't in the church. In life, it seems like we're always enslaved to something, and I think that's basically what our culture is all about right now. Is we are enslaved to power or to greed or to wealth or to lust, but there's a true freedom to not be enslaved, but to attach ourselves to God and to be free. My involvement in the church, my relationship with God is who I am. It's what gives me my identity. Thank God I'm home.
If you've been away from the Catholic Church for whatever reason, we invite you to take another look. Visit CatholicsComeHome.org today.
My family left the church because of a very negative experience with a specific priest, and that took my whole family away from going to church for a long period of time. There were other Catholic churches, and there were great Catholic churches and great priests, but we stopped because of that one specific instance. And in a way, I was cheated out a big part of my journey in my life because we weren't in the church. In life, it seems like we're always enslaved to something, and I think that's basically what our culture is all about right now. Is we are enslaved to power or to greed or to wealth or to lust, but there's a true freedom to not be enslaved, but to attach ourselves to God and to be free. My involvement in the church, my relationship with God is who I am. It's what gives me my identity. Thank God I'm home.
If you've been away from the Catholic Church for whatever reason, we invite you to take another look. Visit CatholicsComeHome.org today.
All righty, welcome back. A couple minutes left before we have to head on out of here. And again, thanks to Jon Sechuk from Generational Life for joining us. Again, that website, friends, if you want to find out more about them, is generationlife.org. They've been around for 25 years. And I remember when they first started, Kim was, we were at a different station, but Kim, and she was on with us occasionally.
Right.
We even went to one of those, I think, when Angela was little, didn't we? Go to some.
I think so.
On a Saturday morning.
But it's great work. You know, you got to reach the kids. But I liked your thought of the parents, too, to get them involved.
I would imagine, now we have our oldest granddaughter, she'll be 9 in November, so she's 8.5.
But those years are ahead.
But I even think now, I asked her the last time I saw her, I said, do any kids in your class have a phone? And she said, a couple do. I'm surprised at that. But they are limited, I guess, because I think she has something that she can listen to music on.
And that's the extent of it.
It doesn't go beyond that.
I remember even our nephew, they were going back and forth. Do we get one? Do we not? But it had limited use. Not that you just had free reign to the internet.
Yeah.
That's very dangerous.
But parents today, they have to deal with so much more than we had to deal with when our kids were growing up. Mm-hmm. And they were growing up just when phones started coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, it was just a phone.
Right.
And they could text. I think they could text eventually.
And that was the extent.
Because the iPhone didn't come out until 2007.
Yeah.
And I think that's the year Joseph graduated from high school. So,
right.
It's not. But now, kids are exposed to so many things on many things on that. So, you got to be careful. So, generationlife.org is their website, friends, and check it out because they do great work. We want to thank everybody for joining us, Deacon Anthony and Jim Hoffman, everybody for being here with us today. We appreciate it. We're going to have to head on out and hope you have a great weekend. We'll look forward to being with you again next weekend. So have a blessed day. God bless you.
Bye now.